Hey guys, we are On Edge Sports, and today we are giving our positional rankings for the NFL Draft. And we have Sheldon and Trayvon here with us. Why don't you just say hi?
What's up, guys? How are you doing?
Hey guys, how's it going?
All right, we're going to start with Trayvon. Who is your number five quarterback?
Number 5 quarterback. I have the quarterback out of Oklahoma State and Mason Rudolph. I
All
think
right,
Mason Rudolph is a very solid player. He does need some time to develop. He's a West Coast quarterback. I think he has all the traits that you like in a quarterback. I just think that he really needs to work on his decision making a lot, and I feel like he tends to force it down the field a lot of the time.
okay. Sheldon, who do you got at five?
I've got University of Southern California's Sam Darnold at 5.
Interesting. Interesting. At my five, I have Josh Allen of University of Wyoming. I know highly touted prospect because he's got a big ass arm, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying the hype. All right, Trayvon, give us your four.
For 4, I'm gonna go to your guy that you just named, Josh Allen, out of Wyoming, quarterback. This
Okay.
man's he has all the measurables. Just accuracy is a huge thing, and in the NFL, people will pick you apart if you are not accurate.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, Sheldon, who do you got?
My 4 follows Mason Rudolph. I kind of like what Trey was saying. I like a lot of his build. I don't know. He seems like I like him more than Darnold for sure. So I thought
Yeah.
my 4.
I have Sam Darnold at four. I'm not big on him like a lot of people are. They talk about how much upside he has. He's just so turnover prone, led all QBs and fumbles, and he had a ton of picks. So I'm not really crazy about Sam Darnold. So we're gonna move on to three.
For my third, I have Sam Darnold out of USC. Uh, I think this. I think people give him a lot of slack for his turnovers and things like that. But I mean, he is a project, and people have to realize that even if the Browns do take him at 1, he's there to be developed, and he's there to be behind Tyrod. And so when Tyrod's done, he can take that mold. I just think that he needs to be in a good fit for him, and I feel like the Browns would be a good choice for this man.
All right, Sheldon.
At 3 for myself, I'm plotting Josh Allen. I think his physical characteristics, traits. It's hard to pass on an arm like that. That's why I slot him above Rudolph and Darnold on my board.
Okay, that's interesting. I have not a prototypical quarterback. We have Lamar Jackson at 3. I really like he has the quickest release of all of the quarterbacks under Bobby Petrino at Louisville. He's a trusted guy. He runs a pro-style offense. I really like what they do at Louisville with their players, and I just think he's got a lot of upside. I know there's questions about his frame and how he's not really the prototypical guy because he runs a fast 40. I saw a projection. They said he was about a 4.29 when they did a measure on the field. So that's with pads on and the football. So that's pretty crazy. Why don't we move on to 2?
For my 2, I have the quarterback, the cocky guy, Baker Mayfield out of Oklahoma. Baker Mayfield is an extremely accurate quarterback. A lot of people say they see Johnny Manziel in him, but I don't. I see someone that's more Russell Wilson-esque and more – he's very accurate with the football. He can throw it down the field, run out of a situation. I think that Baker Mayfield's going to have a much better career than Johnny Manziel ever did, and I think he's going to make a team, whoever drafts him, really proud.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. At 2, I've got Josh Rosen, who I find to be a lot more of a polished and NFL-ready Josh Allen, to be honest. I think he has a lot of the physical characteristics that Allen's got, a little bit less measurable, but I think his arm is there. I like what he can do for a team. He seems like nearly the most polished QB in this class, in my opinion, but not number 1 for me.
I also have Josh Rosen at 2. When I put on the film of him, he didn't really blow me away. He's not that flashy kind of quarterback. He even said that in his interview, but he knows that he can just be good enough. I think, I don't know. I like his build. He's got a good build. He sticks in the pocket. His athleticism is a little scary, but you don't have to be a great athlete to be a good quarterback in this league. So, Trayvon, why don't you give us your number 1 quarterback prospect?
My number 1 is going to be Josh Rosen. out of UCLA. I think when you put on a film, you see the only quarterback that is literally ready to start day one and is ready to put on the field and is a plug and play guy. You know, I think I see a lot of Alex Smith in him, a more of a game manager per se than he is like someone like you said is going to wow you. But I just feel like if you need a guy to come in and you need a quarterback, he's your guy. Like he's a very nice kid. You know, some people say that like he's a jerk and that he has personality issues and stuff like that. But I mean, like, you know, you just want a good football player, and that's what I think he's going to be that.
Following Trayvon here, I got Baker Mayfield as my number one QB in this class. Rumors he'll be a Jet, but outside of that, even like his mentality on the field, his confidence in himself, I think he looks like a winner. He plays like a winner. Like Trey was saying, he's got a very accurate arm. I think he's a good decision maker. You don't just have like the type of years he has for not being a great QB. So.
Right. I agree. I also have Baker Mayfield at 1. He can really spin it with the best of them. His velocity on his passes is very comparable to Josh Allen even. So for everybody saying his arm's weak, I disagree. He can throw the ball hard. Every throw he has is a spiral, honestly. And that's a big deal, not throwing ducks out there. I mean, there's a reason he had the highest completion percentage amongst my 5 quarterbacks. I mean, he's a gamer. He's ready to go. I have him compared to Drew Brees, actually. I know it's a scary comparison, but they played the same. So I'm high on Baker Mayfield. I wasn't before the draft process started, really, after the season ended, but he shot from, like 5 on my list all the way to 1. I really like Baker Mayfield.
Give some sleepers.
Sleepers, okay. Yeah, we can. You go ahead.
I think my sleeper is Kyle Louetta out of Richmond. I think this kid he reminds me of Josh Rosen, but lesser. He reminds me of someone that if you really, really needed him, he could start like around, like I'd say week 5 or like around that area. He definitely needs to get up to the speed with the NFL, but he's very accurate. I feel like he just needs to make better decisions. He knows how to step up in the pocket extremely well. And just I feel like he's a good solid player that can learn from an experienced quarterback or just come in the league and just take a couple of weeks and then you can put him on the field if you felt like you really needed a quarterback right then and there.
Yeah, if I had to choose a sleeper, I'd also choose Kyle Louetta out of Richmond. I think my first exposure to him was the Senior Bowl, and he blew me away. He very accurate with the ball. He seemed to be very precise with his passes. He made great decisions. I'm pretty sure he got Senior Bowl MVP as well. So he was really impressive to me, and just following that, I think he's if you could get him 5th, 6th round, that's a steal in my opinion. So
yeah, I also have Kyle Louetta as my sleeper. It's kind of funny. I think there's a trend here. Also, my first exposure to him was the Senior Bowl. He looked great. He's got average arm, I think, plus accuracy if we're going on that scale. But Kyle Louetta looks like, I don't know, I think a guy you can kind of compare him to is like not kind of like Ryan Mallett, just a little less of an arm. But I really like Louetta and what he can do, and I think he'll be a decent backup quarterback in this league. And I don't think anything more. He can be a spot starter if you need him, but I like Kyle Louetta. If you can get him in the 6th round, like you said, that'd be good value. Okay, so now that we're done with the quarterback position, we're going to move to running back. Trayvon, start us with your 5.
A running back 5, I have a very underrated name, and I feel like he really shouldn't be 5, but here we are. We have Rashad Penny of San Diego State. This man finished 5th in the Heisman running. He ran all over defenses. He's very quick, very shift of motion. I think when you put on the tape, he reminds you an extremely a lot of a LaShawn McCoy type player. I think that he has all the tools to become a very successful NFL player. You know what I mean? And look at the trend of like late round running backs. You have Kareem Hunt, Alvin Kamara. I think he could be one of those type of players to come into the league year 1. I think he's very, very good football player.
Going off that at 5, I got Ronald Jones III. I like his game. I think I think he could be a very solid running back in this league. I'm not crazy on him ever being like a star or like a, you know, even a go-to back like for a team necessarily. But I think at worst he's like a low like 1A for a team that like uses two spot starters. So like that's kind of my take on him.
At my 5, I have former superstar at Georgia, Nick Chubb. This man has got overlooked. He's really a guy. He's a powerful back. He's been kind of on the back burner for teams. A little concerned about that knee, but I don't really think he's going to have, you know, a tough transition. Doctors are really good with fixing up ACL, so I think he'll be just fine for the league.
Number 4, I have Ronald Jones out of USC. And I think that this guy, when you put on the tape, he's a pretty solid runner. I think that he has all the tools and all the measurables to make it in the league. I think that, you know, he could be a better decision maker, but at the same time, like when he makes a run, he makes a run. Like he is flying down the field. He racked up a ton of yards behind a good offensive line, and I think that his talents can translate to the league.
4 for myself, like Austin said, I have out of Georgia, Nick Chubb. This guy, you know, people were saying he could be the number 1 running back in this class or the class before he blew out his knee. And you know, I still think like with what I see out of him and his potential is like running ability, like Austin was saying, is power back potential. I could see him kind of being like a Mark Ingram in the league a little bit, where he's physical, yet he's got some speed to him. That's kind of his ceiling in my opinion, but I think he's a great running back. So I think you could grab him 2nd, 3rd round, and that's a good pick there. You know, value.
Yeah, at 4 I have Ronald Jones. Not real explosive, doesn't blow me away with anything, but he just does enough things right to where you can justify taking him as the 4th running back off the board. I like his game. He's not a franchise running back or anything, but he's just good enough where you can justify taking him there.
For 3, I have the running back out of Georgia that's not named Nick Chubb. I have Sony Mitchell. And I think this guy is extremely good. He can be a slot receiver. I think he's really going to be this year's Curtis Samuel in a sense, where he could be a slot. He could go from the backfield. He can do it all. This guy's a burner too. Not only to mention that, I think he could plug him in and he could play day 1 and he could be a 3-down back.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you there. I also have Sonny Michel at 3 on my list. He averaged nearly 8 yards a carry in college, 16 touchdowns last season for Georgia. You know, and he kind of made Nick Chubb a little forgettable, honestly, with how successful he was. But I definitely going along with what Trey said. I think this guy could be a great runner in the NFL. So.
At three to sweep the series, we have Sonny Michel on my list. I love Sonny Michel. I watched him against Alabama. I was amazed by how he was able to carve that defense. He's a great pass catcher, as Trayvon stated, that, you know, he's kind of a do-it-all kind of back. I'm not sure about really putting him into the slot, but I'd be very comfortable in putting him as a 3rd-down back if you already have a good back. But he can be a 3-down player. But I really like Sonny Michel a lot. He's a very, very good running back. So,
next for number 2, I have Darius Grace at LSU. This man runs so hard. It's almost funny to watch him. Like, he runs angry, and that's what you want in a running back. You want someone that's gonna run angry and take names, and that's exactly what he does. I mean, I'm not gonna say that he's as great, but he runs like Adrian Peterson did, like when he was coming out. He runs angry, and that, I feel like that's an amazing trait in a running back, and I feel like he can be that. He's a 3-down back in this league, and he's gonna wow whatever team picks him up on draft night.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, Trey. Darius Geis is also my number 2 back in this class. I think I'm seeing him slotted around 20 to 30, and if you could get a running back like this at around 30, he's a great runner. I think he could honestly, give him a year or two. I think he could be a 1,000-yard rusher in the NFL. So I think he'd be a great pickup around later 1st round. He's a steal in my opinion at that spot. So
very good point with him slotted around there. Any other draft, I think this man would be, around that 15 range, maybe a little higher. There's so many like blue chip players in this draft. It's very top heavy, if you know what I mean. The second part of the first round or right at the very end is a little weaker than normal, but it's more top heavy in this draft. Darius Geis is, like you said, he runs angry, and he reminds me a lot of Leonard Fournette. A lot of people actually have Darius Geis graded higher than Leonard Fournette, so that's going to be interesting to see if he is even close to that. But I think a good fit maybe for him would be Detroit because they've been begging for running back. So I'd like to see Darius Geis go to the Lions. So go ahead with your one.
I don't think that it was a surprise for anyone. Saquon Barkley out of Penn State. This man is a once-in-a-generation running back. He can do everything on the field. I believe the best comparison to him in the league, I would say, is like a Le'Veon Bell. But I feel like this man's going to come in day one. He's going to revitalize your entire offense. This man's going to bring – he runs angry. Not only does he run, he passes he catches the ball beautifully. And he just does everything you need to be. He's very patient. And you don't see that in those very explosive runners coming out of college. He's so patient. And when he finds that hole, oh, man, that's a home run hit. Whoever picks up this man is going to have their whole offense revitalized, and I cannot wait to see this man in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this will be a clean sweep as well, as Austin was saying. But yeah, Saquon Barkley, Penn State. I think this guy's the number one prospect in the whole draft. Not even close, in my opinion. I think it'd be probably one of the biggest mistakes the Browns could make if they don't take this guy at 1, which it's sounding like they won't, which I think is ridiculous. I don't see any of these QBs doing what for an offense what Saquon can do for a team. I think you get Saquon, you're getting a Pro Bowl running back probably year one, in my opinion. So that's my take on Saquon.
Saquon Barkley, he's an amazing player. He really gets me excited. He's the best player in the draft. Don't at me. He's really everything for an offense that you want. And this is I could see him being as good as Ezekiel Elliott or better yet. And Le'Veon Bell is a fair comparison. I think patience-wise, he's got a ways to go to be at that Le'Veon Bell, but he can really catch out of the backfield. He's a transformational kind of guy in an offense. So Saquon Barkley, it's easy to put him at 1. All right, let's move to wide receivers.
Can I do a sleeper for running back?
Oh yeah, and running back. Go ahead.
My sleeper is it's not more so a sleeper. It's just so whichever team gets this man is gonna have great value, and that's Nick Chubb out of Georgia. And that was my guy because I feel like people do take a fear to that ACL, and people are gonna shy away from it. But whoever gets him it's gonna be in maybe 3rd round, and it's gonna provide so much value because had he not had that knee injury, he would have been the top running back. People were comparing him up with Todd Gurley, you know what I mean? And I feel like he can be that type of player, and I feel like whatever team gets him is gonna have an amazing value pick.
Yeah, my sleeper for running back would probably be Rashad Penny. Trayvon talked about him earlier, but I just think for how talented this guy is and how his ability with the football in his hands and just to make plays, the fact that he in some boards isn't a top 5 running back like my own, that's just nuts because most years he'd be probably top 3. So I think yeah, exactly. So I think you can get this guy end of 2nd round, even later potentially. That's a steal to me. So
I agree. My sleeper is lesser known than both of those guys. Nyheim Hines out of NC State. This guy gets me a little excited. He's very, very explosive. One of the fastest running backs in the draft. I watched some of his film against some of the smaller schools, and he just demolished them. He can cut like no other. I'd say he's a little worse than Penny, but I really like Nyheim Hines, and if you can get him in the late 5th, early 6th round, I think he will be like a Tariq Cohen kind of comparison. He's just really quick, versatile, shifty. He's a guy you want to target late rounds.
Yep. Now we can go receiver.
Yep, let's go receiver.
My 5th, I have Christian Kirk out of Texas A&M. I think this guy's the prototypical slot receiver. I think you plug him in. He reminds me a lot of a lesser Emmanuel Sanders when he first came out, honestly. I think the problem that we will see in the trend with this wide receiver class is, there's nobody that's really defined at catching the ball. There's a lot of body catchers, and he happens to fall in that category. But at the same time, he's quick, he's shifty, he's the prototypical person that you want in the slot. I feel like he's a very diverse route runner. He knows what he's doing when it comes to those inside routes.
Yeah, at 5, I have Michael Gallup out of Colorado State. I really like this guy. He's got pretty good size for an NFL wide receiver, 6'1", 200 pounds. He's a guy last year in college who got 100 catches in a college season with 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns. I think a player like him, he can go up and get the football. Route running, he could tune that up a bit. He can improve there. Breaking out press, he could improve a bit. But I think if you can get like Michael Gallup, I think is a great wide receiver. I think he could really develop into a really, really great player in this league.
And to talk a little bit about Michael Gallup, we both got to watch him at the Senior Bowl, and he was really good with the crossing routes and everything. But if you throw on the film, he's really good with taking screens and going upfield, and I really like his game. I just wanted to add that on there. But my number 5 is Christian Kirk. As Trayvon said, that he's a huge body catcher guy. That kind of bothers me, but as a slot receiver, I guess that's okay. I'm not crazy about Christian Kirk. I'm kind of glad the talks of him being mid-first rounder are out. I see him as solely just going to be a second rounder. I'm not crazy about Christian Kirk, but that's where I got him here.
For number 4, I have James Washington out of Oklahoma State. When you put on a film of James Washington and you look at his body type, he doesn't look like a wide receiver. He looks more like a running back built. And it's just amazing to me that he's as productive in college as he was. Like, he gets away from a lot of receivers, and people are comparing him to like a slower Brandon Cooks. And, I didn't really see that. But, I mean, as far as, like, getting down the field and create separation, he's amazing at doing that. Like, I feel like he can really – his route running tree is very limited, and that's the one thing at Oklahoma State that he would that wasn't that very well. But I feel like if he can develop his route running a little bit more, he already has the speed and acceleration at the top of his route to just create havoc on defense.
Definitely. I had 4 for myself. I got Cortland Sutton out of SMU. I think getting a 6'4" receiver, he's a huge touchdown threat. I think he could be a great red zone target in this league. He kind of reminds me of a little bit of a Mike Evans, but a lot less polished, especially route running wise, I'd say. And he's not as fast, I would say. But I think getting a guy like him, his ceiling could be like a Dez Bryant. Go up and get touchdowns, a great red zone threat. I like what he could provide to a team at wide receiver.
Yeah, that's very good. Hold on, I gotta fix this because I accidentally clicked on Trayvon's face and I want it to go to whoever's talking. So Sheldon, why don't you talk for me quick?
Okay, I got you.
Okay, well,
just click your face. Actually, just click on the screen. Actually, I don't know how it works. This is actually
I turn off the camera once and come back on.
Is it working?
Yeah,
click where you clicked twice.
Yeah, click Trayvon's face again.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So now we are at 4, James Washington for me, and it's really interesting because I had exactly the same thing to say as Trayvon did. He's kind of a stocky receiver that can really create separation, and I really like this kid. But I don't know. I think he's going to be a good fit. I think even Dallas would be a pretty good fit for him to stay in that southern part of the United States. But
he reminds me a lot of Ty Montgomery, honestly.
Yeah,
like that
he really has the same kind of build.
Yeah. Okay, definitely. So going on to number 3, have to go with Cortland Sutton out of SMU, big body receiver. I feel like he's again follows the trend of body catches upon body catches, and he does that most times have a good high point. At least that he has that. He's a big target, 6'4". He's solid. I feel like he's a solid player when called upon. He's going to be an amazing red zone threat, and I feel like that's what teams are going to feed on. Teams are going to look at that and just want to draft them but I feel like that's pretty much all I feel like he can be if he doesn't develop that route running, which he does not have at this moment in time.
Yeah, a guy I really like at 3 here is DJ Chark out of LSU. A lot of people don't have him this high on their wide receiver list, but I think 6'3" receiver, 4.4 sub 40 time. He's a burner with size. That's rare. Players like that, you see Antonio Brown. He's fast. He's big. Players like him, they fall in the draft sometimes, and I think he, not that he'll be Antonio Brown by any means, but that I think he could really develop into a great receiver. I think he's got plus upside on a lot of his route running. I think if he could improve there, more natural hands. But outside of that, I think he could be a really nice guy, especially after the catch. So.
3, I have Cortland Sutton, SMU small school guy. SMU somehow produces NFL players. I have no idea how or why. But anyway, Cortland Sutton, he's got a pretty good catch radius, I'd say. Not a natural hands, I wouldn't say, but he can really go up and get the ball if need be. Like Des Bryant-esque kind of player, but obviously not to that caliber. But one knock I have on him, he really struggles to get separation, and that's kind of a red flag as I look at Laquan Treadwell. They're not blazing speed, accelerations, subpar. So that kind of scares me with him. I don't want to compare him to Laquan, but I think that might be what he turns into.
Okay, with 2, it's going to probably shock a lot of people, but I have Calvin Ridley at Alabama. I watch a lot of him because I'm an Alabama fan and looking at him, and I feel like he's probably the most polished receiver, definitely. But the thing with him is, again, the trend of body catches, and we haven't really seen a solid performance where he can straight catch the ball straight hands. And, on the biggest stage, I feel like he didn't produce as well as he should have. He struggled a lot in that aspect, but I feel like when it's all said and done, he's going to be a good he can break that mold into wide receiver 1, but he's definitely going to be an amazing wide receiver 2.
Yeah, going on, my second receiver ranked is DJ Moore out of Maryland. I think this guy might be the most natural receiver in the class. I like his footwork, coming off routes, breaking routes. I like his hands a lot. I think he has great hands. He's a smaller guy, 5'11", but he's got size to him. He's not scrawny. He weighs in at around 215, 210. So I think just with what he could add to a team, great route runner, I think, in my opinion, and I think he could really develop into a true number 1, probably closer to a number 2, though, in my opinion.
Yeah, I also have DJ Moore out of Maryland, kind of like his counterpart, Stephon Diggs. He's a very good route runner, and I think out of this class, he's going to be the best after the catch, kind of put on the film. And there's a lot of times where he's left out to dry, and he is able to make moves because sometimes they have him go on reverses and such. And I really think he's going to be a good player in this league. Like Sheldon said, I think he's probably going to be a wide receiver 2, but he's going to be, one of the best wide receiver 2s out there. And I really like DJ Moore. I just can't slot him above my number 1 guy.
My number 1 guy is DJ Moore, and I don't know what tape you guys are watching, but when I put it on, this man is definitely a wide receiver 1. I feel like he has the most solid hands of this group. I feel like he can create separation very well, and it's probably not an unpopular pick to put him above Calvin Ridley, but I feel like this man is a very polished route running. He has very good acceleration. He's good after the catch. He's good catching traffic. I feel like he can do it all as wide receiver. I'd say he has a low tier wide receiver 1, could break into that top tier wide receiver 1.
Yeah, my number 1 receiver, Calvin Ridley. Not much of a surprise here. That's where a lot of analysts have him ranked as well. But I think him and Moore were pretty interchangeable on my list. I think definitely the fact that he's from Bama. Bama seems to produce a lot of great receivers. You look at Julio Jones of the world. But I think, I don't know, he's got a good catch radius as well. I think he's a very solid route runner. I think the sky's kind of the limit for this guy. I think he has a slightly better potential than DJ Moore in the NFL. But They were pretty interchangeable for me.
Yeah, I like Calvin Ridley a lot. I think he's the wide receiver one. He's a body catcher like a lot of these guys, which is a little disappointing. But Calvin Ridley is explosive as they come. He's a great route runner. He's a guy that's able to create a lot of separation. I want to see him be more consistent on balls that are one-on-one, him on the corner. And if he can, start being consistent with that and catching those jump balls, he's going to be a dangerous man in this league. So now we're kind of pressed for time here, so we're going to have to kind of skip out on the rest of the rankings, but we can kind of go to general questions and open it up for a little bit of debate. Okay, do you guys have any pressing questions you want to ask or statements you want to make that are bold?
All right. Well, I guess the biggest thing for me is I think the top three players in this draft, just across the board, like position list, Saquon at 1, Bradley Chubb at 2, Denzel Ward at 3. I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on that, where you'd rank players, like based on like kind of top 3 in your opinion.
Who'd you have at 2?
I had Bradley Chubb.
Bradley Chubb. Okay. I guess I'll take the floor next. My top 3 guys would have to be Saquon Barkley, Bradley Chubb, and then Quentin Nelson. I'm nuts for this Quentin Nelson. I know guards aren't as valued in this league, but I think he's going to be a big impact.
That man bullies people. It's fucking hilarious.
He really does. He really does.
He's my number one prospect. He bullies people at the point of attack. Like, I haven't seen a guard. I've never been excited for a guard as I am Quentin Nelson because it's so much fun watching him. At 2, definitely Saquon, and at 3, I'd probably go Bradley Chubb. But yeah, like Nelson, I cannot wait. I never thought I'd ever say that about a guard, but I cannot wait to see Quentin Nelson in this league, honestly.
Yeah, he's a really exciting player, and I think he's going to be a huge impact for wherever he goes. He's going to open up the run game to that side of the ball. He's a road grader, but also he's a great pass protector. He's really good with his hands. He uses his lower body very well. I'm high on Quentin Nelson, as everybody else is.
Definitely, yeah. Another thing I'd like to touch on is I think the depth, not so much like draft wide, but I think like top heavy, the depth at O-line is pretty strong. In my opinion, you guys got like Billy Price, might not even be a top 2 interior O lineman in this draft. He might not even be top 3, like interior O lineman. He's definitely up there, obviously. But like you see guys like him, and he's a great interior O lineman going forward. You got guys like Orlando Brown at the tackle falling because of not a great showing at the combine. But I think he'll still be a solid tackle in the NFL. I think the O line is very deep, like at the top, if you get what I'm saying here.
Yeah, I agree for the most part. The only thing that's kind of scaring me is the top heaviness of like the tackle position. You have McGlinchey as your top guy, and then I think there's kind of a drop off, and then you're going to get those late first round, early second round guys. Normally you have at least 2 tackles that will slide in top 20, but they don't have that this year. But I do agree with the interior play. You have Quentin Nelson, you have James Daniels, who I'm really crazy about. James Daniels, Billy Price, like you mentioned. Will Hernandez is a man.
I love Will Hernandez.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, I'm crazy about him. So Trayvon, why don't you give us your thoughts?
Definitely, like I feel like the offensive line. I feel like there's a couple people that could end up being sleepers, and I wish I could have got to talk on that more. But Will Hernandez is an amazing guy. Like a lot of people have Isaiah Wynn slotted as him and above him, and I don't really see why, because he's a football player like this. Like, I'm not to say that Will is not, but again, he's like Quentin Nelson. He just bullies people. Like, just throw it out there. Like, I saw something today that said Quentin Nelson, after he pancakes people, he sits on them. And I want you to just let that soak in. He sits on them afterwards. This man, I can't wait. But I'm so looking forward to tomorrow. It's going to be an amazing day. Cannot wait to hear what names are going to be called.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Will Hernandez is really a road grader. Okay, so if you were the Browns and you were sitting at 1, what are you doing with your pick?
I'll take this here. Saquon Barkley, please, Cleveland, do yourself a favor. Take Saquon Barkley. He is so incredible. If you can add, like, say they added like a Le'Veon Bell this offseason, people would start taking them seriously. And Saquon Barkley is going to be very similar to what I think Le'Veon Bell is right now. I think down the road, this guy's a top 3 running back every year from year 3 to year 7 of his career, year 4 to year 8, however you want to like split his prime. This guy, he is so good. And if you already have a solid QB with Tyrod Taylor, you have a good wide receiver combo in Josh Gordon and Jarvis Landry. Go get yourself another playmaker. If you add that, you guys could actually like be a threat to win some games this year. Next year you keep building that defense up. You have pick 4. You could add to your defense. Bradley Chubb might be there at 4 still. He most likely will be. You go and you do that. You take care of business. Your team's starting to look a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, at 1, it's a tough decision. I feel like because I feel like you do want to get a quarterback, but I feel like Saquon is he's kind of hard to pass up. You know what I mean? I do feel like the Browns could take a gamble, take a quarterback, and just hope and pray that Saquon's at 4 if they really want to go that road. But I feel like Saquon's gonna go at 2. I feel like the Giants are not gonna let this man pass up because they understand what he can do for you. But if I'm the Browns at 1, I'm probably taking Saquon, and it's kind of hard. It's hard to debate against it. Just even though he's a running back and taking him number 1 overall, he is the number 1 overall player in this draft because I feel like he just takes an offense to a next level, and I feel like that's what he can do for the Browns. You already got 2 good receivers. You can put him with a solid quarterback and an amazing running back, a good offensive line. I feel like your offense is set for a couple of years with Saquon.
Yeah, I agree for the most part. I mean, you really don't need to take a quarterback at 1 when you have – it's not a huge need at running back, but you can get a guy that can transform your offense. Anyway, like there's not a quarterback I don't think is worthy to go 1 over Saquon Barkley because looking back on it, I guarantee it, you can clip it, that Saquon Barkley will be better than any of these quarterbacks. It makes the most sense. The Browns will be hated on so much. So years down the road, they're going to say, why didn't they take Saquon if they go with like Sam Darnold?
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
It doesn't matter for the Cleveland Browns, whoever you draft. They're going to sit for the first 2 years, most likely. I just don't see a reason to take a guy. And you will
especially in this class.
Probably get your quarterback of your choice, maybe at 4.
Yeah.
But don't risk it. Don't risk.
Take Saquon. Yeah.
You take Saquon Barkley. Just make it easier on yourself because you are regarded as the worst franchise in football, rightfully so. But please don't screw this one up.
I have a question for you guys too. What player are you guys most excited to see coming out of college and transitioning into the NFL?
Oh, okay. I got one. This is a guy we haven't talked about yet. Dallas Goedert from South Dakota State. He's got size. He's a freak athlete. He kind of reminds me of Jimmy Graham. Obviously, his hands are nowhere near that yet. But I'm just really excited to see when he gets into an offense, if they're going to use him like a Gronkowski or how they're going to use him, if they're going to use him as a movable chess piece, if you can line him out wide like Seattle did with Jimmy Graham. It's just going to be really interesting to see because this is a guy that could be a superstar tight end or he could be absolutely horrible. So there's no in between. I don't think he's going to be decent. I think he's going to be one or the other. I'm really excited for this guy. He's got a great catch radius. That's my guy to watch.
If I had to pick a player, it probably would be Derwin James out of Florida State. I watch him and I just love what I see. I love that he hits hard. I love that he's very ball hawk heavy. He's very instinctive. He can play linebacker. He can play strong safety. And I see all the things that I loved in him in Jalen Ramsey, and I feel like Florida State let's just produce Jalen Ramsey 2.0 and let's make him 2 inches taller. Let's make him 20 inches let's put a build on him, and then boom, out pop Derwin James. Like this man, I cannot wait to see him. I really hope that he gets drafted to a good defense where he doesn't have to take the load on himself and he can play off of other people, because I feel like that's where he's best at. I feel like if he's the best player on the defense, he won't be able to show it as much as he would if he was not the best player on the defense, is what I'm saying.
All right. Yeah, the reason I was asking this question, I really wanted to talk about my boy Tremaine Edmonds out of VTech. I am so high on this guy. You get a 6'5" linebacker, 250, jumps 10-foot broad jump, 4.540. This guy is an athletic monster. The tape, I see a lot of instincts on him. He was one of the best at getting into the backfield, getting tackles for loss last year. He had some crazy number. I'm not quite sure. I don't quite remember the number. But this guy, I think he could be a good pass coverage linebacker. I think you could put him on the outside, keep him in the interior. He's great in the 3-4. He can play a 4-3. You could anchor him there. I think he's going to be the best linebacker in this class, and I think he has the potential to be one of the best defensive players in this draft. No question in my mind about that. And I'm so high on Tremaine Edmonds. I like this guy a lot. You get a lot of athleticism. Smart football player. I think this guy will be great.
Yeah, I really like Edmonds as well. Him and Roquan Smith, I really like them both. It's hard to say like who would be better here or there. Like Edmonds has more upside, but a guy that has a higher floor, I think, would be Roquan Smith. But that doesn't really matter because you're shooting for the stars in the first round. And speaking of guys that we're really high on, let's touch on Jaire Alexander.
What is that?
This is you.
What is there much to say about this man? I feel like this man is an amazing cover corner. Only allowing 5 catches in college. He put his hand on the ball more than the receiver that he was covering did. I feel like when you put on the tape, he's very polished. I feel like the only downside to him is that he in zone coverage will watch the quarterback too much, and I feel like he doesn't play with more instinctives than he does. He has amazing blazing speed. I believe he ran a 4.32. I want to say he's definitely 4.3 range. He has, and that was what helped him a lot in college. Was sometimes if he did get pushed around by big receivers, and I looked at it like a game like Mike Williams, he was able to recover and get down the field and create something. And I feel like this man is gonna very undervalued. He's gonna be a Jason Verrett type player, and I can't wait to see him in the league.
You go off. You take it away.
Okay. I was waiting for that one. That's why I opened with it. It's interesting Verrett comparison, Chargers. But anyway, Jaire Alexander, I did a little bit more research on him and stuff like that. And the one thing I will say that I like about him is he's got the most fluid hips of all the guys in the draft, and he has like the greatest agility. But I'm not crazy about him. You throw on the film against was it Purdue? And there was one play where I know it's one play, but like you said, he got caught looking in the backfield. Guy flew right by him. The quarterback didn't hit him. Like you said, you were talking about his 4 catches allowed total. That right there, that's horrible coverage. And he's looking right in the backfield. Guy blows by him, no problem. That's going to be an easy touchdown in the NFL. The quarterbacks at the pro level do not miss those kind of throws. So I'm not crazy about him. His press is weak. His man coverage is okay. I guess
press is one of the best in the draft class.
Yeah, I disagree, but we'll have varying opinions.
Well, getting involved in this cornerback discussion here, I think Denzel Ward is miles ahead of Jaire Alexander in terms of a coverage corner. I think you look at his Ohio State teammates, Marshawn Lattimore, and I think Denzel Ward screams a lot of the same things. I think he could be a great lockdown corner. I think you could shade him anywhere on the field. You could make him right corner, left corner. You could make him move around with the best receiver if you want it. I think this guy is going to be the best cornerback in this class. I don't even think it's close in terms of coverage, one-on-one, like lock-up press. I think he is the most solid corner in this class.
Yeah, I agree. He's just a guy that you can't miss on. Great acceleration, great speed. He has His hands are okay. I'm not like his ball skills, like in terms of like, getting an interception, they're not great, but as long as he's putting a hand on the football, that's all that matters. He's a guy that can recover when he makes a mistake. That's not giving him a pass on any time he makes a mistake, but he's able to use that speed to recover and swat the ball away. I just think overall he's the best guy. You can put him in any scheme and he's going to work.
Definitely.
All right, Trayvon, you have anything to add to that?
No, not really.
Okay. Let's see. Kind of going through some of the some of the questionable prospects here.
Can I give you like an overall sleeper for?
Yeah, sure.
I think a good sleeper. I don't think that enough people are talking about him. Is BJ Hill at NC State. He's a defensive tackle. He played alongside Nick Chubb, and when you throw on the film, him and Bradley Chubb wrecked havoc, and they played off of one another very well. A lot of the plays that Chubb was able to make was because of the pressure that BJ Hill put up the middle. So the quarterback was forced out of the pocket towards the side of Bradley Chubb, and I feel like that's a player that not a lot of people talk about. I feel like he's going to be an amazing athlete. He's just a nose tackle, and that's someone that you want to anchor your defensive line. And I feel like he can be a great rotational guy and maybe working his way into a starter role or maybe a lower team and provide good depth and good value. I feel like he's going to be a good value pick. Not many people talk about him again, and I think he does deserve some praise because him and Bradley Chubb played off of one another a lot in college when you look at it.
Yeah. An overall sleeper for me, despite being included in a lot of first-round mocks, honestly, Marcus Davenport out of UTSA. I think a guy like this, you see comparable like athletes coming out of college as an edge rusher. You get Jadeveon Clowney, #1 overall pick a few years back. You get Khalil Mack out of Buffalo. He was a top 3 pick. You're looking at a lot of guys who I think this guy screams like similarities as an edge rusher here, and for him to not even be considered a top half of the first round pick, I think is kind of ridiculous. If you give a playoff team this guy, he's an instant difference maker between maybe like a first round exit to maybe making an extra a push like even further, like to the next round probably, just because I think he could go off for 10 sacks in his first year. I think honestly with his like speed rush ability, I think like passing for a guy who's he's a little raw, but for how athletic he is, I'm surprised that they have him so late in the first.
Yeah, I agree. Marcus Davenport, that was mine actually as well. But well, anyway, I think Marcus Davenport for sure that was seriously who I was gonna say. Like you said, Khalil Mack, Jadeveon Clowney, everybody would be going nuts. I don't know why we're not talking about this guy because he went to UTSA. Also, David Morgan, he's raw, but who cares? Because you can mold raw players. Danielle Hunter was one of the most raw prospects coming out of his class. Didn't matter. I mean, Danielle Hunter was able to go for double-digit sacks, and he's a good player. Like I don't think we're talking about him enough. He's strong. He ran, I think it was a 4.5 or so.
Yeah, he's incredibly fast for a DN. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's just not a guy that falls to 15 most of the time. Like I was saying, this class is so top heavy. He just got pushed to that middle of the first round. I'm really high on Marcus Davenport. I think teams later on, they're going to be kicking themselves in the ass for not taking him. That's just me.
I agree.
Let's see here. Who are we not talking enough about? Who's kind of that? Oh, Vita Vea. Let's kind of open up discussion on him.
Big boy. A lot of people say that he reminds me a lot of Danny Sheldon. And we had this demeanor of Danny Sheldon as we do Vita Vea. And I feel like he's much better and more polished than Danny Sheldon was. They just get a lot of comparisons because, he's a bigger Hawaiian and, he has that same type of build. But I feel like Vita Vea is a much better athlete. This man moves so fast for his size, and his athleticism is amazing. I believe he ran he ran an amazing 40. Compared to someone that's 300 pounds plus, he moves people at the point of attack, and he's someone that you want. He wanted there on third and one, just clogging up that lane, because if that's where they want to go, then they're gonna have to find another way, because they're gonna have Vita Vea waiting right there for the running back's arms.
Yeah, definitely going off Vita Vea. I do think he is the top interior D lineman in this class, but I think with his kind of surgence here down the stretch before the draft here, I think it's kind of pushed De'Aaron Payne down a little bit from where he should be. Because I think this guy, he's a great nose tackle. I think he, like you said, good at the point of attack. I think he could be a very, very like good D tackle in this league. And I think not that Vita Vea shouldn't be getting the spotlight like he is, but I think that De'Aaron Payne shouldn't be forgotten about because of Vita Vea's surgence here, I guess, is what I'm trying to get across.
Yeah, kind of to piggyback off of Trayvon, Vita Vea, he's so powerful. He uses his leverage very well. He's a guy that you can plug in the middle and instant improvement into the run defense. He's a guy that I think you could bring you from like a 32nd rank to like a 25th ranked. Like that's a huge jump just for one guy. But I really like Vita Vea. He's powerful. I think a better comparison would be like Haloti Ngata, who he has a little bit of pass rushing ability. Like he's not fast enough to get there, obviously, but he's going to force a lot of pressure up the middle. But he's going to be an even better run stopper.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of a bold statement.
That's high praise there, but I'm not saying you're wrong by any means. I do think he'll be great. That's big. I think this class is unbelievable, though. So.
I think another good defensive tackle that not many people are talking about because he just got cleared though, but he was having a lot of heart problems is Marcel Hurst. When you put on the tape of him, he literally, he reminds me. I'm not gonna say that he's gonna be this, but he reminds me a lot of Aaron Donald, and he's just so quick and the same type of build, and he has a pass rush ability from a defensive. He has pass rush ability from a defensive tackle position, and that's very rare that you see. He's coming out of Michigan, so a big state he did have good competition coming out of, and I feel like he checks all the boxes as someone that you could see sneak into that first round. And actually, he to me seems like a Patriot pick. He just seems like that low end guy that not many people are talking about. Sneak in there, and he's gonna just create havoc on a defense, and I think he's gonna make a lot of people kicking themselves for not taking him just because of a heart condition that he's cleared of right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I also agree. I mean, he's a guy that could definitely be a part of that Patriot culture. That's such a move by them, taking a guy that was projected middle of the first round, and then he slides and they take him. A guy I want to kind of bring up once again, very controversial. I've heard several reports that Lamar Jackson had a visit with the New England Patriots, and at first they denied him, or Lamar Jackson denied them for an interview because he thought, I'm not going to be there. But now they're talking about the New England Patriots trading up to go ahead of Arizona and taking him. I want your thoughts on that.
I think this is a big ol' bluff here. I'm not. Everything about Lamar Jackson screams anti-Patriot in my from the organization. First of all, how many times have they traded up in the last decade in the first round to begin with? And then second of all, how many times have they done that to grab a quarterback? And then they haven't taken a first round quarterback in however long. They take guys like Garoppolo second round to get Brissett third round. Brissett wasn't even in the top 4 rounds for a lot of analysts, and they grabbed him third round and later turned him into a second, through trading. So, you look at this organization, I don't think they're going to panic and trade up to get a guy who, isn't the most polished and seeming pocket passer like a lot of people are saying to begin with, which kind of fits what New England would like to do. I find it a lot more realistic that New England would stay pat and then maybe at 31 take a guy like Mason Rudolph, who fits kind of more what they traditionally do. So I just don't see them going after Lamar Jackson, to be honest. Maybe they will, but I just don't see it.
It doesn't seem like a Patriot move at all. You know what I mean? Like I said, like they're a team that's literally stays pat exactly right where they're at because they're always in the 30s. I mean, the lower half of the draft, and they draft a stud. No, 9 times out of 10, they draft someone with great value and they turn him into an amazing player. And I think that that's what they do. Maybe I could see if a scenario where he would fall to them that they would probably take him. But I don't feel like trading up all the way to 16. I believe was where the would have to be.
Cardinals are at 15, so they have to move up to 14.
14 or before. You know, I don't really seem like that's something that they would do. But I don't feel like it's a very smart move as for the Patriots because I feel like there's a couple things that you could address that 2 first-round picks is easily able to do that. And I don't feel like going to get a quarterback is the right way to go. You still have Tom Brady. It doesn't matter whether or not he's deciding he's mid-mulling retirement or whatever the case may be. You have a chance later rounds to get a guy that you like. I mean, they've done it with Garoppolo. You know, they've done it with Brissett. And literally the last season, those 2 quarterbacks were on teams starting. It's possible. I don't see why they would move up for someone like Lamar Jackson, where I feel like he doesn't fit their scheme, and I feel like it doesn't seem like a match made in heaven to me. Like, it doesn't seem very probable. You know, Tom Brady saying that he's great, you know what I mean, and this and the other thing. I just don't see a reason why they would do it. You know, that's just me personally. But you know, Bill Belichick obviously knows better than what I know, so I trust.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is not the Patriot way, as they always say in the locker room. He's really not a guy that is. I feel like I don't know if he has the patience to be in a Bill Belichick system. A lot of the guys that they bring in are very disciplined, very down to earth. Lamar Jackson is flashy, and half the stuff he does would not fly with Bill Belichick in games where he has to improvise and take off with his legs. But I do agree with you guys. I think middle rounds, late rounds, I mean, they'll take a guy like Lauletta or Luke Falk, and he's going to be just fine. They will turn him into a second rounder, just like you said. It's going to happen because Tom Brady will say, I'll play a few more years, okay, guys? So then they move him again, and I think they're going to be fine with wherever they're at. And if he's sitting there at 30, I'm not sure they even take him. I think they're just kind of testing the waters. But you know what? The NFL draft is crazy. We never know what we're going to get. By the end of the day, Lamar Jackson could be a Patriot, and we will all eat our words.
That would be crazy. That's the one thing. If that happens, I'll be so caught off guard. Like, even despite reports of it, like I don't see that ever. But
anything,
you know, maybe
anything could happen, man. It's
draft night. He'll become a Hall of Famer for Belichick. So
it's draft night.
That's true. I got
come at me for not even putting him top 5 on my QB list.
Yeah, I didn't put him top 5.
I got one last question to pose to you guys. Which team throughout the entire draft will be the most active moving up and down?
Most active. I mean, that's kind of hard to predict. I mean, the easy pick would be someone that just has a lot of picks that they could move. So you look at a team like the Browns. They have a lot of picks in the top half of the draft that they can move around easily if they felt like a player that they wanted in the second might go before their pick, and they could easily move their. I think they have multiple fourths, and I believe they have 2/3, if I'm not mistaken. But they could easily move one of those picks and move up in the second half, or trade back into the first round if they so choose. You know what I mean? I feel like that's definitely a team that you could look at and see if they could trade up.
Yeah, definitely a team that I could see moving up or down a lot would be the Buffalo Bills. I think once you get to pick 5, I think they're going to start panicking if 2 or 3 QBs are off the board. You know, you don't really want to roll into the season with A.J. McCarron as your starter, especially just coming off a playoff berth. So you know your team around you is like decent enough where you can maybe slip into a playoff, at least be competitive. A.J. McCarron doesn't give that to you. You have a pick at 12 right now. You have a pick at 21. Or at 22 it might be. But either way, you know, you have 2 picks there. They're gonna either move up to 5 or 6, in my opinion. Either with the Colts. Colts are looking to move down. Broncos are looking to move down. The Bills seem like the most realistic team to go up and get a guy. I think they're going to be very aggressive in trying to get a deal done in which they can add a guy like either Rosen or Josh Allen if he's there, if he doesn't go one, or Sam Darnold even if he's around. I think they'll go up and get a QB no matter what. So
I agree. I was going to say Buffalo as well, but to change up the conversation a little bit, kind of mix it up, I think the Indianapolis Colts could be very active where they're currently slotted at 6. I think they're not going to be crazy about anybody, but if Chubb were to slide to them. So I think they could be moving back, increasing depth on the defense, could be also looking at a guard maybe later on. But then again, their offensive line was somewhat injured last year, so they might not feel as pressed to get that offensive lineman like many of them project. So I think they're going to patch up the secondary a little bit, work on the linebackers. So I think it would be very beneficial. Maybe they're the ones that move back with Buffalo, and then Buffalo slides up to 6.
I think that definitely be a big choice.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good move for the Colts. They're kind of going in a new direction. I think that's something they would need to do because I don't think one guy at 6 is going to help turn them around. I think they need several picks to make that defense happen.
Yeah,
I definitely agree.
They got picks with the Jets when they moved down. You know what I mean? And they can use those and accumulate even more. I think they have I believe it was 2 second-rounders or whatever the case may be, and they can definitely use that to go even further. I feel like the Bills, if Rosen or Allen falls to 6, I would expect to get a call from Buffalo if I was the Colts, and definitely take that because 2 first-round picks. I mean, the lower half, 12 and 24, but I mean, that's still somewhere we can get a great defender at any point in time, and I feel like that's definitely something that they should consider doing.
Yeah, there's going to be somebody on defense that's going to fall to that 12 range, and they can pick that up there. And then if they want to at 22, they can get interior O lineman. But I think that'd be really good. I think they could even trade out of that 22 spot to go down even further.
You look at what the Colts are doing here. Unfortunately, they took 3 top 50 picks from my Jets for the 3rd pick. Not too proud of that. Just so we could get Mayfield at 3, like we could have at 6. But you see, if they move down to get 12 and 22 for 6, and then say they slot in a second rounder with the Bills from them as well to move up those picks. You have 6 top 50 picks, which if you're getting 6 of the top 50 guys in the draft, that's very promising. You already got Malik Hooker, who got hurt last year. He's a nice piece. Andrew Luck obviously was out all last season. Maybe they even turned Jacoby Brissett into picks down the road because he's a backup QB for them with Luck healthy. But I've heard reports they'll keep him for now. But they've got high upside if they can make a move like that and add a few more top 50 picks from the Bills.
Now let's be honest with the Colts here. Look at their team top to bottom. I don't have the roster in front of me or anything, but I can think of 2 impact players that are really game-changing, and that's Luck and T.Y. Hilton. Outside of that, there's a lot of mid-tier players to low-tier. I think they just got to make a big move, trade down, get a lot of built-up capital to build the rest of your team. I just think the Colts have to do something. They can't just sit where they're at. I
agree. Yeah, I definitely like what they've done for themselves to this point, but I definitely think they need to go out and add a few more assets in the draft here. Give up the slightly better player to get more good players because that's what they really need. They need a football team, not just another great player.
Right. They need to build that supporting cast around Andrew Luck, especially that offensive line. Keep him healthy because he's a China doll.
Definitely,
I do have one more thing before we go. Predictions for your teams.
Okay. Sitting at pick number 3, New York Jets select Baker Mayfield. I can't say I'm mad because I have him slotted as my best quarterback. I kind of would have liked to see what we could have done at 6 and 37 and also 49, but it's okay. I'm over it. Jets have gotten 2 great players at 6 the last 2 drafts, but it's fine. Baker Mayfield, I'm excited. Hopefully he falls to us. Watch the Browns go and take him. I'll take Josh Rosen though too. I feel like one of those 2 guys will be a Jet at the end of the day.
Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Definitely, the Chargers, there's a lot of pieces that you could go. Depends. I think it's really depending on how the board feels. I feel like we aren't in love with a person so much to the point of we would either trade up to get him or we feel like we need to do something else to get him. I just feel like we just want to evaluate the situation when the time comes and we have a select number of guys that we have, and if they're there as far as our rankings, then we'll pick them. I think when it's all said and done, I think the pick is going to be Rashad Evans out of Alabama, linebacker. I feel like they look at him and we need a linebacker. Like definitely with pairing him with Denzel Perryman, I feel like that would be very good having him at the Sam, because Jatavius Brown didn't have such a good year after having a good solid rookie year. He had a sophomore slump. Again, it all depends on how the board is. You can go Daron Payne. I see a lot of people. I wouldn't want them to go that route because I feel like you can get a value. You can get a defensive tackle that's close to him. And like, I don't know if you guys know about Hinata of Florida State, who's really solid. Like I said, a later round guy, like a BJ Hill. I feel like there are things that you could get, but I feel like at the end of the day, I feel like Evans is going to be the pick.
Yeah, I think that'd be a solid pick for them, honestly. But with the Minnesota Vikings sitting at 30, it's like you said, when you get to the later part of the first round, it's all about who falls and all that. But I think at the end of the day, the Vikings will trade out of the first round. If their guards are gone, like Hernandez and Wynn, even if they're on the board, I still think they might trade out of the first round, and possibly in the second round might target Dante Jackson, LSU. He's a good slot corner, and that's what the Vikings need at this point. They have Waynes and Rhodes on the outside, but on the inside, there's a huge question mark. Mackenzie Alexander has not transitioned well from college to the pros, and Terrence Newman his playing days are over. I'm afraid. I think he'll be replaced before the season even starts. You saw NFC title game. He was exposed, and that just can't happen in those big games. Vikings do not have enough depth at corner, so I think they need to trade down at least, take a corner, and build up some more capital, because you're going to be losing key pieces due to the Kirk Cousins contract, but ultimately that's going to be fine, because if you're going to be winning big games, it's all worth it, but you need to have a plan for when you can't re-sign Barr or Diggs or whomever it might be that we choose not to re-sign, because you can't keep everybody, unfortunately, when you're a good team. So I just think that's the direction they're going to move in.
I can definitely see that. I agree. I think, if their guards definitely aren't there, I definitely think they're moving down. But it'll be interesting to see, definitely.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's going to conclude our podcast. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I know it was a long one, but had a lot to talk about, and the draft's tomorrow, so we'll see how it goes.
All right. See you guys.
See you guys.